Maladunya. Thank you for joining us today at the book launch of G is for Gael. We're going to have a great time together apart. Abby and Ella, my daughters, are here to give us a tune and a step. I also have some questions from my grade primary and 1 class at Creighton Park School that I'll try to answer, and we'll read a few pages of the book together. Thanks again for coming. Okay, now we have some questions from the grade primary and 1s at Creighton Park School.
How did our ancestors survive from Scotland?
Tervel, that was a great question. I'm not sure how my own ancestors survived the trip. I can't even imagine 3 months on a ship. But overall, the 50,000 Gaels that came here worked very hard when they arrived. There was no electricity, there were no shops. They had to start everything from scratch, including the places that they were going to live in and trying to get enough food together to survive. They were incredible people, and because of all of their hard work, we have our wonderful Gaelic community here in Nova Scotia today.
When did the Gaels come to Canada?
Thanks, Lachlan. The first Gaels arrived here on the ship Hector in 1773. They arrived in Pictou.
Hi, Mrs. Hanson. How many people can still speak Gaelic in Nova Scotia?
That's a really common question, Ella. As soon as people start learning about the Gaelic culture, one of the first questions they ask is how many people still speak Gaelic today? You know from our discussions in class and a little bit of reading that I've done with you that the Gaelic language was almost taken away because people weren't allowed to use it, especially kids in school. So today there's about 2,000 Gaelic speakers. Some of them grew up in, very luckily for them, grew up in Gaelic households where their mom or their dad or their grandparents lived with them and spoke Gaelic. In other cases, kids went to school and were able to take Gaelic as a class, just like other kids take French in school. And some people waited until they were almost grown up, like your teacher, to start taking lessons and start learning the language that their grandparents spoke. In my case, it was my grandmother and my great-grandparents that spoke Gaelic.
How long did it take you to write the book, Miss Hanson? And did you write books when you were 6?
Oh, another great question, Ella. It took me almost a year to write the book. Not just the writing itself, but it had to go back and forth to the editor, and they would make suggestions on things I might want to think about or change in the writing. I wrote a lot of the book sitting in the car waiting for Abby and Ella to finish their presentations. You yourself know from them being in our classroom that they go to different schools and talk to students about the Gaelic culture in Nova Scotia. So while they were in talking to students, I would sit in the car and write on my laptop and try and get this book together. Oh, you also wanted to know if I wrote books when I was 6. So I don't remember writing books. I do remember pretending and imagining that I was in books and pretending I was different characters in books because you know that I love to read. You know that from being in my class, that we read books all the time and that every book seems like it's my favorite. So I don't remember writing books when I was your age, but I do remember reading as many as I could and pretending I was the characters in the books.
Hi, Miss Hanson. What language is your book in, English or Gaelic?
Oh, that's a good question, Drew. A lot of people have asked me that, about whether the book is in Gaelic or English. This version is in English. It's something that teachers can use in their classroom in a lot of the public schools in Nova Scotia, or anybody that's interested in the Gaelic culture of Nova Scotia will find it interesting, I hope. There'll be other versions coming out in the next 6 months, 1 year. It'll take a while, but there is a French version and there's also going to be a Gaelic version.
Hi, Miss Hanson. I was wondering how long the Gaels took on the ship Hector to get to Nova Scotia.
Oh, great question, Michaela. It took about 3 months, 12 weeks for the Hector to leave Scotland and arrive in Pictou in Nova Scotia. Can you even imagine being on a ship for 3 months on the Atlantic Ocean? Storms, crowded together. Oh, I think I would be very seasick. Okay, let's read a few pages out of the book. Before Abby and Ella give us a tune, here's a page that matches what they're going to be doing. F is for fiddle. A fiddle and a violin are the same musical instrument. The name changes depending on the style of music being played. Dancing to fiddle music together is a tradition that many Gaels enjoy. Thousands of Gaelic fiddle tunes from Nova Scotia are played by fiddlers young and old. Fiddle is the Gaelic word for fiddle. Thanks, girls. That was great. Before we watch Ella dance and Abby sing, I'm going to read you a page out of the book. D is for dance. Step dancing is a style of dancing that the Gaels brought with them from Scotland. Step dancers hold their arms by their sides and make fast rhythms with their feet that sound like drum beats on the floor. Daunsa is the Gaelic word for dance. S is for song. Gaels have sung songs for hundreds of years to entertain, tell stories, talk about events, teach tunes, and pass the time while working. You will hear a song whenever Gaels gather. Gaelic songs can be about things like love, sadness, the ocean, and missing home. Oren is the Gaelic word for song. Here's a page from the book that is all about what we're trying to do today. G is for Gael. Gaels in Nova Scotia honor Gaelic traditions and use the Gaelic language. Gaels share their traditions, culture, and language wherever they travel. Many Nova Scotia Gaels are discovering their own family heritage and recognizing how special it is to be a Gael. Gael is the Gaelic word for Gael. Here's a page that has to do with everything that we're doing here today. V is for visit.
V is for visit. Gaels love to visit. Visiting is a time to share stories and memories, sing songs, and play tunes with family and friends. Drinking tea, snacking on oat cakes, speaking Gaelic, and sharing funny stories can all be part of a visit with Gaels. Céilí. Céilí is the Gaelic word for a visit.
Okay, everybody, that's it for today's book launch of G is for Gael. I hope you enjoyed your time spent and a cup of tea while you were watching. Thanks to Abby and Ella for doing some tunes. Thanks for Emily for editing all of this together. Thank you to Ella for the steps and my primary 1 students for their great questions. I really appreciate all of you taking the time to watch this today, and the people that have already gone out and bought the book, thank you so much. And I hope I get to see all of you in person really soon.